If you've been on the GAPS diet, or if you've really just been trying to heal your gut for any period of time, and you've hit a wall, especially in the area of digestion and especially in the area of diarrhea, maybe you've had constant diarrhea, maybe you've tried healing your gut, you've tried incorporating things and you just feel like it's not working, this video is going to unpack the idea of a no plants GAPS diet, or even just decreasing plants in your diet as a means of resolving the diarrhea and kind of getting your system back on track. So this might sound a little extreme, but if you clicked on this video, then you probably are in the place where you're ready to make whatever change possible because you know that you are desperate and you probably need help. In this video, I'm going to explain why people would have something like recurring diarrhea that would potentially cause the need for a no plant version of the GAPS diet or no plant diet in general. I prefer the GAPS diet, but we really have to start with the basics of why diarrhea even happens and what it actually is. Then I'm going to take you into like how to know if it's right for you, all that. So let's jump in. The reason that somebody would have diarrhea is pretty simple. Diarrhea is actually your body's natural detox response. It's a very common detox reaction, and it might actually mean that your body is trying to purge toxins at a faster rate than your body can actually keep up with. And so your body is basically eliminating as fast as possible to get things out of your system, toxins out of your system, pathogens out of your system as fast as possible. It's very common to experience diarrhea. This is something that I struggled with when I was coming into GAPS. When you introduce anything new, so whether it's probiotics, whether it's meat stock, whether it's all those other healing foods that we talk about so much here on my channel. So it can be kind of tricky to actually know in the beginning when to potentially transition to something like a no plants diet. So nonetheless, it actually works really well for some people. I've heard testimony after testimony recently and lots of people asking me questions. Is this the right thing for me? Is this like something I should try if I'm not resolving my issues and it's been like months or maybe even a year of trying GAPS or trying gut healing and it just feels like you're stuck? Basically, what a no plants version of the GAPS diet does is it eliminates all the plants, even for some people down to spices, which is kind of a sad day because we love to make things actually taste good. But this isn't forever. It would be a short-term, deeply restorative time period where you're really focusing on gut healing. And I never recommend people staying on these things forever. I never think that you should just be on like the carnivore GAPS diet or the carnivore diet like forever. And that's probably a whole separate video. But really, I think if you're actually targeting the reason why your gut isn't able to digest these things in the first place, you should be able to come back to plants eventually. But nonetheless, sometimes we need a period of time where we are lower fiber. That means that you're not irritating the gut lining. That means that we're not adding fuel to the flame. Like fiber would get things to move through the digestive tract. And if you're struggling with diarrhea, you would want to slow that process down. Basically, you're going to avoid all types of veggies, fruit, nuts, seeds, legumes, anything plant-based. The reason for this is actually because plants are known to be detoxers, while animal-based products are known to be the nourishing foods. So we're basically trying to slow the detox down, slowing the fiber, slowing the detox with no plant foods whatsoever, and only doing the nourishing foods for a period of time so that you can get your system up and running again, so that we can work on repairing the gut lining so that you can actually start to digest the plants again. This would be a time of focusing a lot on meat stock, slow-cooked meats, organ meats, eggs, and healthy animal fats. So if you aren't digesting fat properly, you're going to want to kind of get that going, which is a very important component to healing. But if you may be struggling with fat digestion, this could be a little bit trickier. But ultimately, shifting onto this diet will essentially slow down the bowel movement, slowing down the detox. It's going to reduce your oxalate intake and other chemicals and anti-nutrients that can irritate the gut lining while it's healing. And again, those can trigger these excessive detox reactions. So who is this for? Now, people asking me, should I try the no plants versions of GAPS? How do I know if the no plant version of GAPS is best for me? Or if I should eliminate plants, because there's a lot of influencers out there telling you that plants are poison, and I'm definitely not one of those. But you have to understand their function. And to really answer the question of whether or not you should be doing that, you basically want to assess if I am on the most healing stages of the GAPS diet. Am I experiencing diarrhea that won't stop, loose stools, or such intense detox reactions that you really can't even function? This could be things like rashes, fatigue, mood swings. People particularly who have struggled with mental illness find the carnivore diet or carnivore version of the GAPS diet to be really helpful because the animal-based nutrients help to fuel their brain and heal their gut lining and the neuroreceptors in their gut. So that's something to keep in mind. Essentially, if your gut is too inflamed, if you're experiencing way too much inflammation, all the fiber in those vegetables might be too much too soon. So cutting them back might allow your gut lining to actually heal enough that it can actually tolerate those foods later on. It can calm down and heal without being so overstimulated in the process. When should you try it? I think if you've been doing GAPS Intro for a few weeks, maybe a couple months, and you haven't noticed improvements, if anything, your detox reactions have felt like they've gotten so out of control, this is when you might want to take a period of time. For different people, it's going to be different amounts of time depending on the things that you're healing from. But I would only shift to this approach once you've successfully introduced meat stock, not bone broth, because that's too high in glutamate, slow cooked meats like beef, chicken, and lamb, egg yolks, and a host of different animal fats, whether that's dairy or non-dairy. I would tell somebody if you aren't successful with introducing these things that I would wait to kind of cut out the plants, if that makes sense. Even if you can't have large, ample amounts of these foods, I think it's really important to make sure that you can actually tolerate some of the more nourishing foods before you cut out that other source of nutrition, if that makes sense. If this all sounds overwhelming, that's exactly why I've built out my whole health blueprint. It is a step-by-step 6-month program with personalized support to take you from confusion and overwhelm and symptoms and detox and not really knowing what to do with your health, all the way to clarity and peace so that you can heal your gut and conquer your chronic symptoms naturally. So if that sounds like you, go ahead and apply for the program in the description box below. We would love to have you. I would love to meet you face to face and maybe help you troubleshoot some of these issues. But this is a very common thing that I think people are dealing with. And I think transitioning to something like this and off of something like a no plants diet really does merit a lot of the support that I'm not able to do here on this YouTube video. So go ahead and apply for that program if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. So how long should you stay on it? This diet is not supposed to be forever. The plant GAPS diet or not eating plants is not supposed to be forever. And I think these influencers that have risen to the top who are basically saying that we will never eat plants again, that plants are poison, that they're not good for us, that they're non-digestible, actually probably don't understand that their body has the capacity to heal and start to tolerate those plant foods again, but it actually comes down to their gut bacteria. And that's like so much of what I'll talk about in the whole health blueprint. Your gut bacteria should give you the capacity to digest oxalates, to digest fiber, to digest these plant foods that oftentimes people struggle so much to digest. So in my opinion, I think this should be a temporary tool with the goal of giving your gut space to heal, reduce inflammation, and really stabilize your bowels. That can be a really problematic thing if you're kind of constantly losing your nutrients through malabsorption and just constant diarrhea. Once things do calm down, you can start by introducing small amounts of very, very soft cooked vegetables. Things like carrots or zucchini would be a really great place to start without any of the seeds in the zucchini or the skin. Test your tolerance and then build that up slowly. And you want to just kind of feel your own body. If you're interested in learning the top foods that I think are the most important to healing your gut, these are the foods you would introduce first, even before transitioning on to something like the GAPS diet, or you could even just start incorporating into your whole foods diet to help support your gut health. Check out this video because I go through, I think, the most important foods that are going to help you actually get to the root of your illness, your symptoms. Honestly, you guys, your gut is the seedbed of so much that goes on in your body. And so learning how to tend to it and listen to it is going to be key. Thanks for watching.